Mr. Pandaria came out nearly 13 years ago and was one of my favourite expansions, but I never really experienced most of it, mainly due to being a PvP player. So with the release now of the classic version, it gave me a chance to go back and visit the world of Pandaria, reach the max level of 90, jump into some more arenas and try to obtain some of the best looking armor sets in World of Warcraft's history. It was the launch of Mr. Pandaria Classic, and I actually missed this one. For the first time in many years, I wasn't present for an expansion or a launch. I was busy rounding up mounts in 7 days on retail WoW. Anyhow, as sad as I was that I didn't get to experience the inevitable rush and lag of the Jade Forest, I at least thought starting out now means I'm behind the curve and all the bugs will be fixed and there won't be any issues. Right? Well, we'll get to that. So the class I want to play and get the challenge mode set for is my warrior, and upon logging in, all my spells are gone, all my abilities from my bars, my macros, all gone. And I've got to choose a specialisation. This is when I see the new interface, or old interface for talents now. And to be honest, I think warriors just go straight down the middle for most talents, at least for now. Double time giving us 2 charges, second wind was a broken healer if I remember right, we get a slow, a stun and a defensive, all really good picks. So I then spend a bit of time trying to remember how I used to have my action bars and set up ready to tackle the leveling. Mr. Pandaria leveling is really linear. In fact, it's also pretty long too. Originally in patch 5.3, the XP needed to level per level was reduced by 33% from 85 to 90, but for some reason Blizzard reverted this nerf from the PTB and opted to give us a long leveling experience. My friends have all told me how it's a pretty long grind, and I've seen some posts flying about on the internet saying people are not really happy with the length of it. So this gave me a slightly nervous approach going into it, as all I remember from leveling originally was grinding out these worms on the Timeless Isles for a few hours. Anyhow, back to the leveling. We arrive on the land of Pandaria and we start fighting immediately versus the savage hordes. Yeah, I've decided to be alliance and it's only for the human racial in PvP. It's practically broken and a must have. Each quest now forwards you to the next town or the next event, so following the arrow from rested XP, brilliant guide by the way, make sure you level the most efficient way. However, each quest only gives you 1% of a level. 1%. I then started to get waves of nostalgia seeing the Shah and remembering all these starter quests, and I really enjoy the classic design in Miss, so killing things was just fun. Then up next was our dungeons, which once again was just pure fun. I really like the Mr. Pandaria dungeons as well. FYI, I will start to really not like some of them, especially this dude as a warrior, when we move on to challenge modes. But that's later on in the video. They're actually really quick to do as well, and breaks up the questing nicely. One of the good things about me waiting until later on to start this leveling was Dark Moon Fair was out too. So by riding on a carousel with all the other players, we get a buff called We, giving us 10% extra experience and reputation. And I've just realised how freaky this face actually is now I'm looking at it. Of course my dungeon queue pops as I go to the toilet because that's just how it goes. The moment you look away or get a drink, bam, queue pops and you miss it. Perfect. This is where Blizzard changed up the questing too by having you do different things out in the world. I always enjoyed this quest even though the roleplay is kinda long. It's just really fun. Our dwarf friend who befriends an animal called Socks. Poor Socks gets turned to Jade by this evil Widow Greenpaw. Then we end up being a sniper with a shooting minigame that reminds me of playing Crisis in the arcades. Impeccable aim from me still. I spent a bit of time then committing monkey murder and slaying all the Grookins that are terrorising the jungle, and because of my ruthless PvP gear with sockets and enchants, nothing is much of an issue for me right now. I then pop into another dungeon and I come across a tank who's actually a level 90 arms warrior with a lot of PvP gear. And that's what I want. So I ask him how he got this and he tells me it's just pretty cheap to buy on the auction house, so that's kind of reassuring. Fast forward a little bit and I've already done a level and a half. It's pretty long, but once you get into your zone and you get questing, it's also really relaxing. The aesthetics of Pandaria in each zone is just really cozy, even in the jungle of Krasang Wilds. The Shah have taken over the citizens of this town and they're all really depressed and have given up on life. So it's our job to kill their despair and drive the Shah away. So the Shah comes from emotions, and what I've gathered is that since the Horde and Alliance have came here angry and full of hatred, well, we've awoken it, so I'm sorry pandas. The valley is one of my favourite zones. Lush green, open spaces, peaceful farming, the lot. And I remember the battles around Miss Fanny here as she smashes watermelons onto the next town, because that's totally not a dangerous thing to do, is it? Now the downside to the re-release of Mob Classic, which I mentioned in my Cataclysm video, is just zero world PvP. There's just no hordes, as now mega servers are just dominated by one faction, so the world around you is not too dangerous. I also take in the little moments of farming and helping out the locals find their lost pigs and such, as well as taking around Little Lily to explore the different locations and take in the sights. But then I came across my first rare mob. I get the tag and it's got a lot of HP, and I heard they give a really good amount of XP and could drop some gear. I'm killing it relatively okay, but somebody tries to invite me to a group. Now, I don't really want to compete with a Death Knight on any gear upgrades, so I actually just decline him. I'm not being mean, but I want to see how much XP I get for killing it solo and if the loot is worth it. I actually get 200,000, which is really a lot, but the loot is pretty shit, and I get some lesser charms of good fortune. Also, not forgetting to neglect my professions by visiting the Silk Master Tasai, who has crafted his skills from the local moths. And by local moths I mean literally Mephalus, a huge blue one. Shame we gotta put him down, but he is wrapping up and eating the local citizens. The reason why I'm doing tailoring is because we want that sweet 4000 attack power bonus from the cloak enchant, damn. Then I killed Cornan the Barley Barbarian, and I've only just got this reference looking back at my footage, so I gotta include it. It's class. Before I even get to finish off my zone, after killing a cave horror, I'm already level 87. And as we move on further through Pandaria, we enter the more colder climate of Kunlai Summit. The Shah is really prominent here, with the Yonguls being infected and the actual land itself being infused with the Shah. Because I'm behind the buffer, I don't really find a use for grouping up because I can kill everything solo. And everyone else seems to have that idea as well. And I believe Cataclysm now and Mr. Pandaria, we start to lean more away from that classic questing vibe, so to speak, and more into the more quality of life changes that retail brings. It's not a bad thing because fighting for mobs can be a pain, but hey. Even then, me and this hunter, we don't need to communicate. We both understand our task in hand. Lead the kobold to a trap. Not one word said, but just acknowledgement between us. Then this is when I got to the top of that wall, the Great Wall of Pandaria. I actually don't know how long this wall goes on for, to be honest. I might just have to run start to finish one day. But this wall, back in the day, used to be just a hotspot for world PvP, and now it's just a ghost town. I then came across my second rare of Pandaria, Zanzil the Outcast. Looks like I'm in luck, however this guy freaking hurts. I'm in a small room, he does a lot of damage to me, and he then casts an ability called Rain Dance. And even with my shield wall up, I just instantly die. I run back to my body as fast as I can and I get the tag once more. This time I'll kill him for sure. A Shadow Priest is helping me out, but I'm in a dungeon queue and I don't want to leave it to group up. This time I dodge Rain Dance, but I do start to get low on health. Then I get more people watching me, as they wait for me to die so they can take the mob for themselves. It's just a dog-eat-dog world. The Shadow Priest even stopped helping me now to watch me fall. But by killing creatures next to him, I can heal myself with Victory Rush. It is a struggle, but I won't die, I refuse. Eventually, a nice lovely paladin does a drive-by on me and heals me, and I kill Zanzil, I get myself a nice little toy and some more XP. Doing Shado-Pan Monastery, a place I'm going to hate. I forgot about the mechanics that can kinda kill you as a whole group blow themselves up by AoEing down the little shards. They have an ability where they blow up, and I didn't realise that. One of the things in Pandaria that actually gives you a nice little top up of gold and a huge bit of experience is Treasures of Pandaria. Around the world is little things you can loot, and I mean, look, 300,000 XP for looting a chest, beautiful. Then I spent a bit more time living the simple life, helping out the little lucky-do people, as yetis are always chasing them and eating them as they transport their goods through the mountains. I help out by throwing barrels at it as it relentlessly chases us until it literally dies. A few hours later, I hit level 88 after slaying a lot of crabs on the beach, looking for a blue crab shell. But they're all blue, and they're all crabs. I guess hitting them with a sword means they don't ever really stay intact. The next level was pretty uneventful, just some more questing, a few more dungeons, and just going through the motions. But as I was approaching the final level, everything would change. As I entered the Dread Waste, I did an extra dungeon. But this was pretty rough. This commander guy does a lot of damage and summons a lot of adds, and green stuff was everywhere. Our healer died, followed shortly by the rest of our party, and it was just me and the warrior tank alive. We've got access to Second Wind and Rallying Cry, healing us and increasing our max HP, and between us both, we take down the boss. We are warriors after all. Then, after slaying a massive bug that could rival King Kong with my tiny sword that surely feels like a tiny scratch to him, we turn in our quest in level 89, and now things take a really sour turn. Before it did, I went back to Dread Waste to start questing there, and ready for that final stretch. Now Dread Waste has a famous rare, Kroll the Blade, who is highly sought after for this potion. Yeah, it gives you an insane amount of experience to level up your ults with, and boom, he's there. I see another player charging at him, so I get the tag with a heroic leap into a charge. But I'm also low HP from doing my quest. One single AoE slam, from him kills me, and I lose a tag to the warrior. And this was the start of my worst level yet. You see, for some reason, the whole world of Pandaria started to lag the hell out. I mean, it was impossible to quest or do anything, impossible to kill mobs, and it was just a really awful experience. So I had to do something called a monkey run, where in Stormstout Brewery, you run to the first boss, you kill all the monkeys on the way, and just reset. It is mind-numbingly boring, but it's pretty quick. Then I also had this happen for the whole level. No, I'm not kidding. I must have opened my internet overlay for my whole level of 89 to 90. So on top of having the worst level ever of my WoW career, I can't even show it you because it's got YouTube videos open and other stuff. Wouldn't believe I've now been making videos for over a year now, would you? So I did have some stuff open when I hit level 9, so I can't show you my full screen, but I can show you the moment it actually happened. Boom. I dinged in a battleground so I could be a level 90 warrior terrorising level 85s. Took me 2 hours after this to generally realise the mess up that I've done. But you didn't miss much, and let me catch you up to speed as we prepare for that endgame adventure. In Mr. Pandaria, there's 2 world bosses you can kill, and after learning this profession of engineering, I head over to where one can spawn, Galleon. And here is what my gear is like after leveling and dinging level 90. I bought a full set of 450 item level contenders gear, as well as spending all my honour on the PvP weapon that is 457 item level. So it's really good to start off with. This brings our total item level to 440, which isn't too bad of a start. So the world bosses are just not spawning, or they're on a long timer, or they're broken. On the floor and the sky is absolutely flooded with people on their mounts waiting for a shot at loot. But while waiting, I end up doing some 3v3 arena to get conquest, as I want to purchase 2 trinkets that will be an immediate upgrade. And I must say, I absolutely love playing Warrior and Miss. In fact, the PvP is just really good. Warriors in Mr. Pandaria are just really strong as well, so that makes it more fun and satisfying to play. After Galleon not appearing, I moved on to the second world boss of Shah of Anger, where once again, the sky is just full of people. But whatever these spawn timers are was not great. So I just spent my time farming battlegrounds and rated battlegrounds in between waiting for a glimpse of the world bosses. And I already come across a druid who has the Phoenix mount and the challenge mode set. So they've done what I'm setting out to do within the first week, damn. One of the other changes Mr. Pandaria added was old school dungeons being changed into updated versions. I believe it was Miss where this happened, and these will be in the challenge mode pool too. So I start queuing up to get justice points, a currency you get for killing each boss, as I want to turn it into honor to get a full set of PvP gear ASAP, as this will actually help me out in PvE too. In fact, heroic dungeons feel extremely easy, so I'm thinking challenge mode really can't be much more difficult, right? Well, I'll be proven wrong. And from there on out, it was all about farming heroic dungeons and living in battlegrounds, as the honor gear I could buy was item level 458, and I'm going to be doing PvP and PvE on this warrior, so I thought it's best to get my PvP set out the way first. Unfortunately, my PC would crash due to some overheating issues I was having, and within the 60 seconds it took me to get back on, I'd eat a big fat 30-minute dungeon deserter. That sucked. And as I was trying to hit 2 birds with 1 stone, eventually after many battlegrounds and dungeons, I farmed out a full PvP set, and here is how my gear and item level looks. Full honor gear, 2 conquest trinkets giving us an item level of 461, nearly enough to do challenge modes. I'm fully gemmed and enchanted too, but the problem is not many people want to take full PvP gear players, so that's 1 set of gear done, time to work on the PvE side. Now with my current gear, I do a lot of damage now. I'm often topping the meters in dungeons, which makes grinding out my PvE pieces a bit more fun. Now running heroics was just a breeze. The only issue is this. I mean, look at this. 4 plate wearers usually in the dungeons you need too. Luckily for me, I'm pretty lucky and I can outroll some of the other guys to get some items. But having to constantly roll against the same classes after roughly the same items was a rough one too. And that was my life for a while, in the queue simulator, just doing dungeons over and over and over. But I was slowly getting the items I needed, like the War Mace of Taran Zoo. But then the next one I would go and get my actual best in slot for challenge mode, apparently the Gore-Soaked Head Reaper. I was just getting loot left, right and centre. Helmets with sockets with my best stats, and then after this I realised, oh yeah, I have access to dual specialisation. Figured it was about time to set up a PvE spec too. Completely forgot I had 2 specs if I'm being honest. This gives me access to 2 sick abilities as well in Avatar, which is a huge 20% damage increase, and Blade Storm, that'll be the biggest damage cooldown in the future. But not every heroic went well. You see this massive long cast time of Mass Resurrection? Well, if you don't kick it, she summons back every dead member that you've killed. And you must always kick it yourself, because I wait to the last second before realising the other warrior, warlock and mage will not kick this. It would have caused us to wipe. Maybe I should have just let us die. Honestly, after many dungeons and battlegrounds with a pretty good item level and a mix of both PvP and PvE gear, I decided I'm probably ready to at least attempt to challenge mode. My damage felt super good in heroics, especially spinning to win with Bladestorm. I had a healer in a lone priest who had mainly PvP gear, and most people I've asked about challenge modes at this point said they're a lot easier than you think, so let's just do this. Alright, I was wrong on so many levels. You see this timer here on the right? This is how long you have to complete it in order to obtain the medal on the left hand side. So gold. Beneath this is the bosses you need to kill and a certain amount of enemies you must clear to finish the instance. It's basically Mythic Plus but in its first original state. We're now on the last boss too with only one enemy missing and 2 minutes remaining, straight into the action now. Our Death Knight chose to, for some reason, stand in the boss's cast, instantly dying while he's at high HP and leaving us 1 DPS short. Compared to heroic, challenge mode hits freaking hard. Mechanics will just straight up kill you, but our damage is sort of okay and we've got Bloodlust in 40 seconds. The issue there is we still need one mob and we're right at the end of the dungeon. As the timer falls to less than 60 seconds, we are about to kill the boss. He then does die and we've got 45 seconds. We all make a run for it. We've got to run pretty far in as we miss that one mob. The tank runs off with rocket boots and I'm trying to run after him, slowly but surely. Then with 20 seconds left on the clock, the tank runs into the elites. We've got 10 seconds now to kill one mob. I pop Bladestorm, but with the DK being so far away still, as the timer then hits its last second, the mob was at 10%, so we just missed out on a gold thanks to a silly decision from the Death Knight. But we obtained our first silver challenge mode. However, now with understanding the route and knowing what to do, this should be an easy gold time now, right? So once the countdown begins, the golden wall comes down and the timer begins. I immediately pop all my cooldowns and start Bladestorming, doing an incredible amount of damage, but I nearly get chomped by the dog. The dogs here on chains do a massive amount of damage, please don't walk into them. From here you hide behind his shields as fire arrows swarm the floor, but the tank dies as the healer picked up his shield, meaning he can't heal. Alright, we'll try again. On another attempt on the second boss, he does a whirlwind ability in homage to Ravager from OG Classic. If he gets you with this, you're in trouble. And guess what happens to me? I thought I was far enough away from his tornado, but the shaman gets sucked into it, then me. Yeah, this ain't going really well, is it? Luckily the shaman can reincarnate, and I'm not sure if I should run back or not, so I decide to release to help the group. But then I get combat res from the Death Knight, and this puts me at the start of the dungeon, not where they was. I think I may have messed this run up. And because we also used an invisibility potion, more on this later, I now can't skip this trash to get back to them. The tank then says he has to go and the whole group just disbands. We were so close to a gold and now it's over. So what I did is I reached out to a Guildian Thick Brew and my friend Forks and say, hey, we know the route for this dungeon, do you want to come and try a challenge mode? And they say sure. So after a few times of trying to teach the tank the route and figuring out if we can make it to the end boss without actually having to go back and kill other creatures, we're approaching the final boss's room with 48 out of 50. So we messed up once more, but we still got 4 minutes left. We have 3 minutes left on our Bloodlust timer. As long as nobody dies, this should be easily doable. Our boss damage feels fantastic, with all of us pumping out big numbers. And it's just don't stand in the fire and get hit by his dragon breath. But our healer nearly dies by standing in the fire. Survives on 10 HP, but that would have been a problem. After a lot of pumping, we kill the boss with 2 minutes left on the clock to spare. All we gotta do now is run back, kill 2 elite mobs, but with the amount of time we've got left over, so doable. And we complete our first challenge mode gold with a timer of 11:30, and that is 1 out of 9 done. With the taste of challenge modes now firmly in our mouths. Wait, I'm not sure how I feel about that sentence. Oh well, I'll keep it in the script. We go to our next dungeon, the Temple of the Jade Serpent. First we find out that in order to even do challenge modes, you must have completed the dungeon on the heroic version, which all of our group has done, except for our healer, who hasn't done anything to do with PvE yet. So we have to take a quick run through on heroic to unlock it for him, with the idea to plan our route as we go and learn the boss mechanics, and the practice does pay off. While the first boss we did have to do a few resets just while we learned the mechanics. Once we learned that Brewmaster's stagger was also breaking us out of invisibility, we can make it further in relatively simple, as in this dungeon 50% of your timer goes right at the start of the instance. Now these bosses, Strife and Pural, are a pain. When one reaches 8 stacks you gotta swap to the other one, otherwise they get a shield making them immune to damage. It sucks, but we do manage to swap them perfectly and take it down. From here on out, the last 2 bosses and enemies are all very close by. We just need to take them down in less than 3 minutes each, and still quite a lot of trash. This was looking really close on the timer, and my goodness, these areas I'm getting are pretty distracting too. I tried to ignore them, but they just come back. As we take down the last trash mob, it's under 5 minutes left, and by the time the boss comes out, we've just got over 2 minutes left for each. And while the HP is disappearing thanks to us using cooldowns, just dodge the things on the floor and don't get one shot. That's all I'm telling myself. We managed to destroy this boss with no deaths and high damage. 3 minutes left, 3 mobs, but we are panicking a little bit now. So we decide once we cleave down these ads a little bit, drag them into the last boss and just go to town on everything. It's a risky move, but a safer option to play with the time. Bloodlust is popped and our tank is getting smashed and our healer is but oh well, we are a warrior, we don't care, we just smash damage. The Shard of Doubt doesn't have many mechanics apart from this one, where he summons the Figures of Doubt. You gotta stack up, use a defensive and just AoE them down. This pop-up on my screen was really getting annoying, but I didn't have time to do a slash reload at the time. With over a minute to spare, we then get Gold Challenge Mode Jade Serpent, putting us at our already 2 out of 9 for the day. So far it was going easy. Too easy. Our next run was Stormstout Brewery. We're nearly 2 hours into tries at this point as we're just learning the mobs and the mechanics and we keep failing at one point. The last boss. Getting to Hop Talus, this giant rabbit leader thing, was super easy. Sometimes here you could mess up if you let these little rabbits do a cast and you don't smash them with a hammer. But other than that, the run is once again looking good. We just need to get to the last boss and execute it. So fast forward to him is Yansu, and after killing many ads, we've got 2 minutes 30 on the clock. Now why is this boss a pain? Well, we pop Bloodlust and go to town on him. He summons these little lads that channel a heal to him. At first our healer told us the strategy was to kill them, so we tried killing them but they just respawn. The next pull we tried CCing them, but you can't. So now we finally figured out the way to do it. Once you jump over some beer on the floor, this beam here is a direct heal to the boss. You've just got to stand in it and break up the beam, otherwise he will heal very quickly and it can be a run ender every time. But when we finally figured it out, it's a very easy kill, giving us a total of 3 out of 9 gold challenge modes for our first day. Not bad, right? So I decided to hit the hay and really try and finish it all the next day. Morning arises and you might be wondering why I'm throwing up. Well, I'm eating these worm things that give you a food buff, but after 30 seconds I just throw it up. I'm in a dungeon already at 9 AM called Mogu'shan Vaults and it's time to finish off every dungeon today. That's the plan. Well, we are off to a sketchy start as the leader is furious with the tank and kicks him. I think he was AFK or just buying potions, and that was the end of this group, so lovely start. So I find the next group an hour later, one for Scholomance. We tried this once with a mage, but he just left halfway. No word spoken, just left us, and we didn't time it. So I was starting to get the true pugging experience in now. The first boss in here is a DPS race. Her ice wall at the back that's coming in closer will just one-shot you if it touches you. And there is a wall, so you're kind of going to get squeezed. So if you don't do it in time, you're dead meat. Luckily for us, our group seems to be doing really good damage, and we kill the Lich with plenty of time to spare. Then it's all about destroying the Phylactery. Probably said that wrong, so I'll go with an urn, and the race is on. Time is looking fantastic as we approach the second boss, Jaundice. Now I've got a warrior PvP brain, so when she knocks me back due to a thing on the floor, I instantly press charge back to her and die. I can't help it. But I do get combat rest and then she teleports back and summons clones of herself. Usually you kill these clones, but by standing here she ends up teleporting back, is what I would say until it seems to bug out and she just never comes back to us. So I guess us trying to cheese the dungeon cheesed us back. And that's a reset. Next try we make it to one of the next checkpoints, so to speak, Lillian Voss. You pop cooldowns at 50% to try and skip all of her last phases for a massive time save, and it's just a big DPS race. Her health is disappearing, but we still had nowhere near enough damage to do this. Kinda crazy, I thought we would do it. If you don't kill her during that short window you get, then you've got to kill her soul, which is pretty easy mechanically because she just fixates on you, you got to run away from it. But this is just all valuable seconds being wasted. Once you kill her soul, the fight still isn't over. You have a bit of roleplay before Voss comes out, mad as hell, does a lot of party damage with a lot of fire on the floor, and still has quite a bit of health that you have to get through. But our group is solid and we nail it. So earlier on when I spoke about the invisibility potions, this is one of the sections where it's needed. You pop it to skip trash or ads you don't need and you just run through. But of course one of our party members didn't have it. He must have used the DPS one on the boss, so we've got to wait for him now for 40 seconds before we can start it. But we've only got 3 minutes 30 on the clock, so we decide to just wait for the monk as it should be enough time. The monk then arrives and we pull with 2 minutes 50 left. Easy, right? Well, no. This guy has a lot of HP. I think it's around 30 million or 300 million. I know it's a big gap, but it is one of them. And while we burst him down easy enough with all cooldowns, we got to kill ads during the fight too that he spawns, as well as teaching people a harsh lesson. taking a player out of the fight who has to AoE some mobs down that still kinda hurt you, before you go back and take him on once more. We're at around 1 minute 30 left and he's only just hitting halfway. This is going to be really too close. We approach the final 30 seconds and he's got about 10% of his health left. We're just pumping damage. 20 seconds and he's still alive, but with 12 seconds left to spare, we snag ourselves another gold timer. Little things can end up costing you a huge amount of time in these runs, but that's another one done. And as I say, not even close. We all add each other as friends later on in case we want to do some more runs in the future, and that was a fun group. On to our next dungeon, Gate of the Setting Sun. There was no slowing down for me. I wanted that beautiful armor set. I have to have it. After spending an hour looking, we took an undergeared tank called Fluffer. Now gear wise, challenge modes are all scaled down to a 463 item level, but if you got lower than that, well, it doesn't scale up. But this tank was pretty good and knew what they were doing. Our Shaman Healer had experience with challenge modes too and was sort of leading us through it, along with the Monk having a bit of knowledge. The infamous error box came back with a vengeance this run, and with 4 minutes 30 on the clock, 2 bosses left, I always felt like it was cutting it close. But that was the thrill of doing these challenge modes. Our damage was nutso in this group and you can see how fast the boss's health just disappears, until our Monk gets killed, putting us now on a slower back burner. We do have a combat res, but that's with our tank, and he's the only one that can do it, and if he does, he's probably just going to get one-shotted. Ads start to overwhelm us and we just focus on the boss. Our tank nearly dies, but with some good healing and cooldown management, we scrape by. I thought, I am not playing with this error box no more, so I hit that slash reload while they're resurrecting. 3 minutes left, one boss, easily doable. It's a big bug guy from earlier and killing his weak spot did take us a while. Then we had only 1 minute left to kill him, and the amount of damage you can do means there's just no way you can fail. And from here on out, it's just smooth sailing leading to us another gold in the Gate of the Setting Sun. Keeping the same party apart from replacing the mage with a warlock as he had to go, we went to attempt another hard one apparently called the Siege of Niuzao. Probably butchered that. The Shaman's laying down the law right from the start, informing the tank on what to pull, and I'm just here to play Beyblade, spin around and do damage, but we quickly mess up and our tank died, so that's a fast reset. We go again, now staggering these slimes because it's a good thing as they give you a huge damage increase. So when you approach the first boss and pop your cooldowns, well I've said this a lot, but his HP just bloody disappears. So from what I'm gathering is, Trash is definitely harder than the bosses, minus a one-shotting mechanic. The second boss in here is just boring, never been a fan of it. It does fit the theme of this dungeon, what with it being a siege and all, but when you're on a timer, it just never feels right to stand still in one spot. But our group is just flying. Doesn't take too long for us to clear through his army of ads and take on the commander. And with all their gunk that makes them take more damage, he just dies, leaving us with what I think is an unreasonable amount of time left over. But then while waiting the 30 seconds to 1 minute of roleplay, the Shaman informs us of a tactic he wants us to do. We then follow the Shaman all around the side of the next boss, skipping most of the trash, and we pull him in the corner. The Shaman then says, "We're yeah, but I hope not." The Monk says it's fine, so I'm sort of panicking. I think if we wipe, that's gold gone. This boss isn't just a tank and spank. He does a charging rush which will one-shot you, but he also runs to the centre of the field and puts up a barrier around him. You've got to break it with bombs that drop on the floor. What you do now is use the bombs on all of the ads that you skipped earlier to deal massive damage to them. But our tank gets one-shotted, and now it's over surely. I try and aggro them all and use Die by the Sword, parrying every ability while we get the tank back up. It's all a bit of a mess right now, but once we stabilise, we smash it, and we take down the boss, leaving us with one boss left to fight, and some trash with just under 5 minutes. Looks definitely doable, but once again I feel like it's going to be really close. It takes us over a minute to cross the bridge to the boss, and now it's showtime. All cooldowns once more. Let's hope we can kill him fast enough. This boss's mechanic is basically just one. He flies to the other side of the bridge you're on and does a wind cast that pushes you back, and you've got to interrupt it. But with all our movement abilities, he barely even gets to cast it before we kick him. With over 1 minute left on the clock, we kill the last boss, first time earning another pretty simple gold with a strong group. And we just kept this train going. When it's going this smooth, you just have to keep the dungeon train going and not stop. So our next place was Mogu'shan Palace. A quick invisibility skip after the first boss, and you approach some ads that heal a lot, that you've got to kick. But the timer in this place is insanely strict, at least it felt that way. The second boss is a pain as he takes 50% less damage until you kill a certain ad, the Ironhide, so you gotta focus all your damage into him. This fight felt like it was a long one, and with only a little bit of time left to kill 7 more elites and get to the last boss. I don't think this is possible, right? As we approach the last boss's room with an army in front of him, 3 minutes on the clock, it's gonna take a miracle. So I just follow the tank as we pull absolutely everything in the room. We really can't afford not to, and we hit all of our abilities, and if the tank falls, it's game over. But we actually have enough damage to AoE these down and survive the onslaught. So now all of a sudden this is possible. The healer asks for mana, but Mr. Bear says no way and pulls the boss. This boss is a pain because he does ground slams and activates weapons traps. So it's more about watching your positioning than focusing on doing the most damage by standing in everything, as much as I like to do that. We went under the 1 minute timer with the boss still having a bit of health left, but definitely doable. Then the monk dies to mechanics and I barely stay alive by the skin of my teeth. 30 seconds left on the clock, we hit Mogu'shan Palace Gold. Our group then ended there, but I didn't take any breaks and kept going all day. This time getting in some of our old group members to take on the remaining dungeons. Scarlet Monastery was fun to do as a challenge mode, but oh boy was this place rough. For a monk, this guy hits insanely hard. I mean, I guess that's accurate for a monk. He has a DPS check as he gets a stacking damage buff, which really hurts, but as long as you just play mechanics, he goes down pretty easy. It's the trash, it's always the trash. More specifically, these fanatics. This run is going super well until our tank runs in and is immediately one shot, leading to an instant wipe and a reset. So we go again and again and again, and it took us so many tries to do this place, and honestly, if I was to show you each one, we'd probably be here until WoWs took offline. But this pull was better. We knew these fanatics was pain, so we made sure to pop basically every defensive, even if we pulled one of them. Timer was looking incredibly good, and we only had one boss left to kill. Well, technically it's free. Commander Durand is first, who is basically the High Inquisitor's rebound man. Now the mass resurrection caster earlier is extremely quick, and I had a feeling it would be, but by rotating kicks we make sure she can never resurrect her allies and slay her. Then we slayed Durand, giving us another challenge mode gold, and now I'm one dungeon off being fully done. The last dungeon. It's 3 PM with plenty of time to go in the day, but this dungeon would be the worst dungeon ever. So far it's been relatively smooth sailing, some hiccups here and there, but let me talk to you about Shado-Pan Monastery. Even writing this is giving me the shivers. So why was this place so hard? Let's talk about it. This first trash pack, we couldn't figure out what they would even do. We would watch guides, watch people doing it, but something just wasn't right. We would pop all cooldowns and AoE them down with no issues this pull, right? So we'd pull the boss. Oh, this boss is also hell, at least it was for us. He does have lightning abilities, and one of them is a ball that shoots on the floor that basically can one-shot you. And if you stand in it on the floor after, you just die. He also does a lightning breath frontal cone, which you can see here just kills our Death Knight. And we really struggled with the mechanics here. So we just reset and go again. And wipe and wipe and wipe on the first boss. I wasn't innocent, no. My reactions was insanely slow. I should do better, and one death would just be a quick reset. We even researched mechanics in the dungeon journal, but we just couldn't get our shit together, and people decided, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. With it being my last dungeon, I decided, I'm gonna do it. I was not leaving this place. So now it's 4:30 PM. 1 hour and a half of tries later, and straight away we're off to an absolutely awful start. The ads we kill at the start decide to join us with a boss, instantly killing our healer, and honestly I've just got no clue what's going on, so an easy reset. Finally, at nearly 5 PM, we take down the first freaking boss 2 hours later. Wow, I don't know why that was so rough. The next pack of ads, the Eternal Shards, we really take our time on, single targeting them down so they don't explode and kill us all, and this run was feeling much better. Until the invisibility skip. Honestly, every part of this dungeon I hate it. I suck, I know. Well, I did hit, but let me tell you why I sucked. Once you deal with the horrors of the first boss, the rest of the dungeon is pretty smooth sailing, until you get to this point. You're supposed to use your invisibility potion to skip ads that are a pain. The issue? Fire arrows. Yes, fire arrows. We got to this point 3 times. Now look at how bullshit there is. No indicator, nothing, just a random fire arrow on the floor, and that's an easy wipe. Now usually there's arrows shooting across the sky that you can see now, but this was just bullcrap at this point, and I'm so over this place. Our healer then left, our DPS left, and it was all just going to shit. Nearly 6 PM now, 3 hours later, and I'm back once more with a brand new group of players. So while we execute the first ads and the first boss really easily this time, we get to the shards, and I say don't AoE them as I don't know if the monk will stun them, but the tank just instantly dies anyway. Alright, reset, go again. Nope, we die on the first pack of ads. I am screaming inside. I guess I'm just not going to finish off this last dungeon. It feels impossible until we get this run. We did the invisibility part and we made it to the Shah of Violence, where it was a very easy fight until I started ripping aggro from the tank for reasons I'm still not sure of, and he beats the shit out of me. We do kill the boss though, and we've got an insane amount of time left. All we need now is no mistakes, not one. So as we do the skips that is normal to do, even in heroic, Folks, my friend decides to troll by ninja pulling a pack, and this could be bad. Our tank nearly dies and we've got no healer with us, but I think fast and I vigilance him. The thing is, with these ads, you need to purify them or they will never die. We start taking incredible damage and I'm panicking a little bit. We can't locate the guy to click on, the tank then dies, and it's all over. Everything for nothing. Until I see the Pandarian I'm supposed to click on. I leap onto it trying to press it, but I die. And it's just a domino effect. There's no way we can bring this back. But then they somehow click it and just about live, potentially saving the run. We then fight the last boss, Taranzu, and we blast him with all cooldowns and bloodlust. I play this fight incredibly safe. I'm not going over my anger meter that fills up here, and play mechanics perfectly. I don't want to do this dungeon ever again. We kill the boss, then 2 minutes are left to take on one of those deadly pack of mobs. We just need to purify one member. I run in and I pop my Beyblade ability, Blade Storm, spinning around while I use every single button available to me, even my defensives. Somebody clicks it, giving us a Challenger Conqueror achievement along with our final gold medal, and that, my friends, was the worst dungeon I've ever done. As we then visit the capital, we've got mail and we've got an item in our bags that I didn't notice. It's a chest that contains a full set of the Golden King armor. It's got no stats, but it's one of the best looking armor sets introduced to WoW, in my opinion. These challenge mode sets, along with Legion artifacts, are some of my favourite items in the game, and I never got to get them, but now I have at least a set. We also collect a Phoenix egg, but before we deal with a Phoenix egg, it's time to transmogrify my gear and collect it. And I look fantastic, and I really feel like a warrior. And I also feel pretty accomplished completing these gold molds. That definitely threw me off, as I expected them to be a bit easier than they was. I visit the Phoenix Trader and I've already made up my mind. I choose a Crimson Pandarian version and it's just by far the coolest. We did get a title to the Undaunted, but my Immortal title is just much better, so I won't be using it. As I fly through Pandaria, looking at my gear and that quick little journey I've just been on, it was a fun time that had some rough moments. I farmed a full set of PvP gear and ended up with 465 item level, and with all that said, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next WoW video.